Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 16 breakdown for the Pro PlayGames Digimon Regional that happened in Greenville this last weekend. It was our first regionals in person since Gen Con, so since the beginning of August, so like 2 months ago was our last regional for this card game, at least here in the North American region in person. So it's been a minute since we had one of these. Additionally, it's pretty much the same card pool since then too, which is very interesting. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the new stuff, but we do have a bunch of regionals here in this October season, which there are some upgrades, there are some changes that we're getting later in the month as well as cards become more legal. Not a new set 100%, but that's something to look forward to as well. But jumping on to this one, I do also want to say thanks to PPG for not only hosting the event, but also for publishing the deck list. So they're all here on my website if you guys want to check them out, as well as other events, including one that I was kind of mailed into from Brazil. So shouts to Eric from Brazil for sending me this kind of Brazilian event that they had. It's an unofficial one. They want to get some representation, and I want to give that to them. So make sure to check that out. We're not going to go over this one in this video, but it is on the website as well. But also for Bepsi for live streaming it, the link to the Twitch VOD is in the description as well as on this page if you guys want to see some of the matches from this weekend. But again, going to this top 16 pie chart, we do see pretty much a really, really healthy pie chart. And I will say for a format that we've been in for a while, at least there is that kind of diversity in it as well. And I do like that we're back in regionals because there's a couple deck lists such as Hunters as well as Royal Knights that I simply can't play in the Ultimate Cup format too. So being able to get back to that is really cool. But we did have 3 Belphemon with one of them winning the event, 2 Hunters, 2 Red Hybrids, 2 Shine Grays, 1 Blue Flare, 1 Beelzemon, 1 Ulforce, 1 Bloomlord, 1 Royal Knights, 1 Greymon, which is more of like a Blackboard Greymon X, centered one, and a security control as well. So we're going to go over the top placing list for each one of these archetypes, starting off with our first place list. So we do have Brody with their Belphemon, and it's kind of like in a weird spot. I think Belphemon is a really, really good combo deck in a lot of ways. It didn't see a lot of play, I think, in the Ultimate Cup, even though essentially you have all the pieces that you need online for that format, which is really interesting. I also will say that generally, if it shows up, it does wins the event or it doesn't get into the top 16 at all kind of thing. Like it's really weird how polarizing this deck can be from a placement stuff, but I do think that the rage mode is very strong. It's obviously our boss monster that we want to get into. If you are able to find your pieces and you're able to recur like your obnoxious Gazimons, your Psychmons, and some decks I just can't handle some of these cards at times, and it just gets a lot of disruption, which lets you set up and everything else. So not much more to say. This deck obviously, and pretty much every other deck we're talking about, has existed for quite a bit, and congratulations to Brody for their first place finish. Next up we have Keaton with their third place Blue Flare, and Blue Flare has been doing very good in the Ultimate Cup format. Essentially it has all of its tools in that format too, except for the security attack plus 1 Greymon, which more and more people I think have decided is kind of a mandatory piece for this deck. But you can't use it for the EX4 Greymon because it specifically says a blue Greymon, but the all reliable BT10 Metal Greymon still is very strong, especially if we're able to have that security attack plus 1 with it and do our additional combos with like the Zephyr or Z Greymon and stuff. I think this can be like a very good aggressive deck out of nowhere that also has some stun elements and makes it kind of tricky for your opponent to answer in without spending a lot of memory, which again you get to use a lot of advantage for. So the additional cards that we see here, we have 4 copies of Sorai, which normally this bounces between 2 and 4, so 4 a little bit on the high end that way. And then also we have Great Maelstrom, which is from BT12, being able to bottom or placing when you use this card, place one of your blue Digimon as a bottom evolution cards of one of your other blue, and then to reduce the cost by 3, and then main you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of his owner's deck. So and then you also activate the main for this effect on the security. So some good removal from this card too. I think it's helpful, but that is the list there, and congratulations to Keaton for their third place finish. Next up we have CJ Clark with Hunters, and I don't really have anything to say about this except for congrats to CJ, because we've been seeing like there's not any there's very little diversity. The one tech card is like the one drop or the one of the U, which is from BT10. It has some weird synergies with the deck. I don't think it's like 100% synergies, but just having another copy of U for it there and having like the diversity for like another purple tamer is fine. But this deck is still good. It's a really good card, or just a really a good deck format in this format, and just all the removal that you get, the flexibility with it, and obviously a deck that we couldn't play playing the Ultimate Cup format. So congratulations to CJ for their finish there. And then next up we have David with their 6th place Beelzemon. And obviously Beelzemon's been around since it's been around for a while in this game, but the Ultimate deck that we got about 6 months ago has really, stayed relevant since release. And I think that it is a strong deck that teaches a lot of recursion and a lot of strengths that does exist for this deck in general. The one new tech that I've been seeing a little bit more often is the Shine Greymon Ruin mode as just like an alternative like level 7 to go into. The fact that this is grabbable again off of the Rivals Barrage if we need to, which is really great from the delay effect, which is helps you get there. Just means like an alternative to Blast mode, which again we run one of each, and then it just has like the removal for you. It has like recovery, which is rare for purple in this capacity, so being able to get that additional recovery is good. And then it gets deleted, but you can get it back again next turn with again like another Rivals Barrage, and you can kind of loop that if kind of needed, and you need to be a little bit on the more defensive and like board clear way too. So like that little tech, and congratulations to David for their finish there. Next up we have John Rosero with their 7th place Ulforce, and Ulforce is also just like blue in general, does very, very well in the Ultimate Cup format, at least this past one that we had in September. For this format, I do think Ulforce is a little bit of all or nothing. It's a little bit more fragile, and you do kind of have to see your pieces and your lines immediately. And if you kind of have to wait another turn, you really get punished, I feel like, more times than not. But there are a couple interesting choices for this one. Sometimes you do have like the Leomon package on some builds, but not this one that we see here. We do have the Lanemon. We also have the Vidramon from Stardeck H, which I don't see as much. And it might be because it does only cost 4 to play out, which is quite nice. But also, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to the owner's hand, which is an inheritable on attack. So that could be helpful there. A regular tamer lineup of a bunch of Renos, some Davises, some Sora Joes, and also the V Tamer tie as well. And then on the top end, we do have for Ulforce, we have the X antibody, but we also have the Mirage Galgamon burst mode, which I don't think Mirage is as viable in this format compared to the other ones that we've seen. Like again, it's very good in Ultimate Cup format, but in this one specifically for the regionals format, it's less good. But this is a good card that you can Digivolve on top of all of your Ulforces, which is really nice. The fact that it's blue and searchable off blue memory boost is great, and being able to return one of your opponent's Digimon to their owner's hand and get all that advantage is very strong as well. So I like the tech there, and congratulations to John for their finish there. Next up, we have Tyler with their red hybrid, and this deck hasn't really changed since the new package that we got in BT12. I don't really have a lot to say about this guy. It's very aggressive. We do get the text outside of the Belphemon and the Omnimon that we aren't able to get in the Ultimate Cup format, and I do think they add a lot of consistency. Even though they're just a couple cards, they do help you either get that one more attack, because the Emperor Greymon is really good at just getting all of your opponent's security away, but you still need that additional attack afterwards, which is strong. But also Pokemon being able to find your Tamers, being essentially extra copies of your Tamers if you need to, and if it is able to stay around, you're able to get that additional memory and keep it your turn, or make some of your plays a little bit easier without having to kind of rely on Gravity Crush, which is really nice. So not much more to say. Congratulations to Tyler for their finish there. And then next up we have Hunter with their 9th place Bloomlord, and there was this is 100% the deck list they ran, in case anyone's wondering, because I think the original website posted a different list that was incorrect. So this is the list that Hunter ran for this event, and it's pretty standard. I know that we did get kind of like the new line off BT13 with the Yoshino, and getting some more vegetation plant fairy support, which is really great. The your rookies are very good, like having like even if it's just like a weaker version of Palomon on the on play, this Lalamon's very good for you as well, and being able to reduce devolution costs with its inheritable is very strong there too. And you just really go up your line if you see it. And the only thing I don't like about this deck is that if you see your line, you're good, and if you don't see a level 5 off like the top 10 cards of your deck, you're in a really, really bad spot a lot of the time, which is kind of rough. But I do think that this is a very strong deck. It's very combo heavy, and if you're able to continue to play your board and you're playing against a matchup that can't punish you for it, you're in a really, really good spot. Quartzmon at the top is still very good. I think there are some decks that just can't answer this very easily, like Ulforce. It doesn't have a really good time with this card. And I do like the Yoshino, even though like Mimi's the oldie but a goodie, but Yoshino's still in a good spot for the deck too. So this is Hunter's List. Congratulations for their finish there. And the next we have Angel with their 10th place Shine. And it's really interesting. Like Shine was definitely, as we were leaving the regional format and going to Ultimate Cup format, at the end of August, Shine was like the deck that people wanted gone and thought was too good. And it's been doing good in this format, don't get me wrong, but it's not like amazing. It hasn't been doing as well as I think before the format, and I think that's really interesting. So it obviously, especially since the top placing one got 10th out of a top 16, I think that's kind of an indicator for that as well. But there's not a lot of text that we do have for this deck, especially since we pretty much got like 3 whole sets of the same line to put into the deck. It is interesting to see only 3 copies of the BT13 Geogreymon, which I generally think of the best version of like Geogreymon in the deck, because it does get you all that momentum and advantage from hitting something in security. Even if you don't hit in security, knowing the cards that are in there really help you out a lot. And then just our top end, we do have 4 of the Shine Gray, 2 of the Shine Gray from BT13, 2 Burst Mode, and then 1 of the Ruin Mode as well. So, and then 1 Sunrise Buster, Yellow Memory Boost to help you there, and using the yellow Digi Eggs, which there is again like the discussion between the two. Some people also like running the red eggs with like Agumon X, since they can go on top of the Agumons, and that's strong, but this is just kind of the build we have here. So congratulations to Angel for their 10th place finish for this event. Then next up we have David with Royal Knights, which again, this is one of my favorite decks, if not the favorite deck for me to play in this format right now. I really like the different play style for it. I like the what you get, your choices and everything. And looking at this version, it does lean a little bit more on the Sistermons, which you do have the Gankumons to play them for free, which is nice. 3 copies of Porcupamon and 2 copies of Marcus to help get rid of pretty much Psychmon generically. We don't do a lot of memory gain. We do some, but not a lot. And also just being able to, like, the Psychmon just destroys this deck, which is like the biggest unfortunate thing about it. But other than that, I think this deck is very strong and helps out a lot. We do have like only 1 copy of Gallantmon, which is interesting because you normally see like 2 or 3 copies. You also have 1 copy of the Raid Gallantmon, which this can have some good removal if you are able to put it back into your life with Purge, Royal Knights of the Purge, which is great. And then I think just like the generically good cards that we see from the stat as well. So not much more to say from that, but congratulations to David for their finish there. And then next up we have Ren with their 14th place Black War Greymon X build, or just like Greymon. It's really difficult because again, like we've been seeing so many like lines of Agumon and Greymon over the last couple months that you can just put your favorite ones of all of them, and it usually works in some kind of cohesion and very strong. So our top end, we have the Black War Grey X, we have the War Greymon, we have the Black War Grey, and the Gaiamon, as well as 1 copy of the Omnimon X Antibody from BT10, especially since this is like a, we can run X Antibody in the deck in general. This is a really good finisher for the deck in a lot of ways, which is really nice. We also, like, this is Greymon, I think, is viable in the Ultimate Cup format too, even though like it's weirdly like a multicolor format like deck. But we do miss out on like the X Antibodies and the Omnimon. It's also interesting to not see Cool Boy in this build, which are, normally I see like 1 or 2 copies of the card in the deck, just because it is very strong at finding your X Antibody in pretty much any of your lines. Since we do play the Greymon X, we play the Metal Greymon X, and we play like the Black War. Like it searches out a lot of things, which is really interesting. But we also have the Red Man Boost. We have our Ties, and then the Hades Force for some of the formats or some of the decks like Hunters that really kind of fall to this card too. So this is Ren's list. Congratulations for their 14th place finish. And to wrap it up, we have Kevin with their 16th place Security Control. And this is a deck that obviously we couldn't play in as well, at least in the Ultimate Cup format. Chaos Degradation's only at 1. This is a multicolor deck as well, and it does do some really interesting stuff for how it works. Being able to be kind of like a stall deck and get that good hits in your security is very good. We've been seeing it forever. I don't really have a lot of notes for this build specifically. I think like the Tamers and the option cards of choice are pretty much the same every time. 4 copies of Salmon are usually the rookie we choose since BT 2 or 1.5. It's just the good card for the deck in general. Some decks I've been seeing run more like a 4, 5, 6 package, like just the tiny 4s and 5s, but this one says we run Magna Angemon, and that's it. If we want to Digivolve into Shadow Seraphimon, we can do so. If we want to do, go Shadow Seraphimon into Quartzmon, we'll do so. If we want to just play Quartzmon for 15, we'll do so. And then also like our Death X, which weren't able to play in the Ultimate Cup format. So, this is a deck that's, I think, is going to be present forever, just kind of how the rules and mechanics work for the game. Sometimes it might be more present than other times, but that is the list here. So congratulations for Kevin for their 16th place finish, and that's going to be it for this breakdown. Not anything too crazy, I think, from this event. It is kind of just a refresher for what the format looks like and a lot of viable decks for the format. We do obviously get some new cards as well for the next couple of weeks too, so that's going to be interesting to see how they integrate into the format as well, and just kind of everything else. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.